What if just 5 TRX exercises could eliminate knee pain and dramatically transform your leg strength? Research shows that 86% of adults are quad dominant with critically weak hamstrings, creating a dangerous muscular imbalance. But after coaching thousands with suspension training, I'm going to show you the roadmap to rebalance and rebuild your leg muscles using 5 TRX exercises. To start, let me show you how to unlock your mind-muscle connection and dynamic flexibility. Most people's legs are like two elastic bands. One is thick, strong and flexible, your quads. The other is thin, brittle and ready to snap, your hamstrings. And that's the problem. If your hamstrings are too stiff to effectively move through a full range of motion and you can't even feel them contract, you can't train them properly. Plus, this hamstring stiffness locks up your hips and limits your mobility. You don't want to be that guy who can't bend over to tie their shoes without pain at 50. So this first step is about building dynamic flexibility and your mind-muscle connection in one go. Let me show you. Start by standing upright with a shoulder width stance and feet straight. Create a slight angle by leaning back into the straps. Then slowly hinge at your hips over 2 seconds, pushing them back while keeping your legs nearly straight with just a slight bend in the knees. Lower yourself until you feel a deep stretch in your hamstrings and pause there for 2 seconds. This stretching phase recruits muscle fibers that are completely ignored in most exercises and triggers your body to build both flexibility and strength. Now this is where it looks weird, but trust me, drop your ego and stick with it. Then drive your hips forward in a slow thrusting movement by squeezing your hamstrings really hard. Keeping that slight bend in your knees at the top and focus on squeezing your hamstrings hard using your mind-muscle connection for 2 seconds. Visualize your hamstring muscles contracting powerfully. This internal connection ensures the hamstrings are fully engaged, which improves their muscle activation for the next exercises, leading to better growth. I'm going to cover sets and reps for each exercise at the end. Next, let's strengthen the smallest leg muscle that will cripple your entire mobility if it's weak. Most people overlook calves because they're small and out of sight, but your calves are like shock absorbers on a car. When they're tight and weak, every step sends impact straight through your ankles, knees and up into your lower back. Without flexible, strong calves, you lose ankle mobility, which limits your squat depth and increases risk of plantar fasciitis and Achilles injuries. Small muscles, but a big impact. So how do you strengthen them and improve their flexibility in one exercise? Let me show you. Grab a step or a thick book, or you could even do these on the stairs. Stand on the step with the balls of your feet on the edge and begin on one leg. Slowly lower your heel toward the ground over 2 seconds until you feel a deep stretch in your calves, and hold this bottom stretch for another 2 seconds. This stretching phase improves ankle mobility and prevents stiffness that leads to injuries. Then push through the balls of your feet to raise your heels as high as possible over 2 seconds. Hold that peak contraction at the top for another 2 seconds to maximize muscle activation. Next, let's unlock your hip mobility so you can squat deep without knee pain. Sitting all day locks your hip muscles in a shortened position, like springs that have been compressed for hours and lost their ability to spring up. When you try to squat, these tight muscles can't lengthen properly, so your body compensates by leaning forward and rounding your back, which shifts all the stress onto your knees and lower back. That's why squats feel uncomfortable. So let me show you how to fix those hip muscles to squat pain-free. Stand with your feet wider than shoulder width apart, toes slightly pointed outward. Create a slight angle by leaning back into the straps. Now this is super important. Before you descend, squeeze your hamstrings and glutes to activate them. Then resist gravity and slowly lower yourself into a deep squat by imagining you're crushing a big stability ball between your heels and bum. This will help you pull your body down using your hamstring muscles rather than dropping down and putting stress through your knee joints. If you downloaded my free guide, The 7 Skills to Build Muscle with Suspension Trainer, link below, you'll recognize this as the muscle tension principle in action. Then at the bottom, pause for a second, keeping your knees outward and sitting back into your hips to feel a deep stretch through your hip flexors. Then drive through your heels, continuing to squeeze your hamstrings and glutes to rise back up over 2 seconds. At the top, don't lock out, otherwise it transfers the tension to your quad muscles. Keep a slight bend in your knees and squeeze your hamstrings again for another 2 seconds. Now let's build your hamstring strength to rebalance your legs and eliminate that quad dominance. Think of your quads and hamstrings like a tug-of-war between 10 sumo wrestlers and 10 grannies. The sumo wrestlers, your quads, are pulling with massive force. Then the grannies, your hamstrings, are getting dragged across the line, unable to hold their ground. This one-sided battle creates ongoing muscle imbalances that contribute to long-term aches from your glutes right up into your neck area. That's why you get pain from basic daily routines or after mild physical exertion. But how do you strengthen these weak hamstrings to balance the fight? Let me show you. Lie on your back with both feet in the TRX straps, heels down. Lift your hips into a strong horizontal position by squeezing your glutes. Now, slowly bend your knees to pull your heels towards your glutes over 2 seconds by squeezing your hamstring muscles hard. Pause at the top with your heels close to your glutes for another 2 seconds, squeezing those hamstrings extra hard. Now don't make this mistake. Then slowly extend your legs back out over 2 seconds, but stop just before your legs straighten. Don't fully straighten them and rest, or you lose tension on the hamstring muscle. Remember, maintaining tension is the #1 muscle and strength building stimulus. Next, let's strengthen the one muscle in your thighs that keep you balanced under stress. Most people ignore this muscle, but it's like the co-pilot in a plane. Your main quads are flying the plane, but without your vastus lateralis, the outer quad muscle, stabilizing every movement, you're wobbling through turbulence with no control. It's the stabilizer muscle that powers explosive movements and keeps you balanced under stress. Like when sprinting after your kids, changing direction quickly, or climbing stairs fast without fatigue. But how do you strengthen this neglected stabilizing muscle? Let me show you. Start by standing with your feet close together in a narrow stance, feet pointing straight. Before you even move, push your feet outwards against the floor and squeeze your quad muscles hard. Then slowly squat down over 2 seconds and make sure to continue actively pressing your feet outwards against the floor as you do. This is crucial because it shifts attention directly onto your outer quad muscles. Pause briefly at the bottom, keeping that outward pressure strong. Then drive back up, still pressing outwards as you rise over 2 seconds. At the top, give an extra hard squeeze for another 2 seconds. These narrow squats also reduce stress on your knee joints, helping you build leg strength safely. Next, let's look at how many reps and sets do for each exercise, so you can build complete leg strength and mobility effectively. First, to wake up your hamstrings flexibility and mind muscle activation, go for 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps with a 60-second rest between each set. Then, to increase your calf flexibility and strength, go for 2 sets per leg of 15 to 20 reps with a 30-second rest. Do one leg at a time. Then, to enhance your leg mobility so you can squat deep, go for 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps with a 60-second rest between each set. Then, to build raw hamstring strength to balance out the quad dominance, go for 3 sets of 4 to 6 reps with a 60-second rest between each set. Then, to create 360-degree agility, go for 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps with a 60-second rest between each set. But here's the thing, if you only fix your legs while your upper body stays weak and your core is unstable, you're like a house with a strong foundation but rotting walls. Everything will eventually collapse. That's why you need to watch this next video, where I'll show you the 8 essential TRX moves every man must master to build complete full body strength, mobility and athleticism. Plus, I've created a free 4-week workout plan that puts all of those exercises together. You can grab it below the video.